What happens when country music royalty walks onto a talk show stage expecting respect, only to be met with shocking disrespect that leaves everyone in the studio absolutely speechless? In just 49 seconds, one comment would turn a friendly interview into the most explosive moment in daytime television history. Reba McEntire, the queen of country music herself, arrived at the studio that afternoon, ready to promote her latest album and share stories with her former protege. For years, everyone knew about the close bond between Reba and Kelly Clarkson. Reba had mentored Kelly, supported her career, and treated her like family. So when Reba got the invitation to appear on the show, she thought it would be a warm reunion, a chance to laugh about old times and celebrate their shared success. But from the moment Reba walked out onto that stage, something felt different. The audience erupted in applause, standing and cheering for the legend they all adored. Reba smiled and waved, her signature grace on full display. She hugged Kelly, but even in that brief embrace, there was a stiffness, a coldness that hadn't been there before. They sat down, and Kelly started with what seemed like a normal opening. "So Reba, it has been a while since we have seen you on television. What have you been up to?" Reba laughed warmly. "Well, I have been busy with the new album, doing some touring, spending time with family. You know, the important things in life." Kelly nodded, but her smile seemed forced. "The important things, right. So not really staying relevant in the industry then?" The audience went quiet. Reba's smile faltered for just a moment. "I am sorry, what do you mean by that?" Kelly leaned back in her chair, crossing her legs with an air of superiority. "I mean, when was the last time you had a #1 hit? When was the last time you were actually at the top of the charts? I am just wondering if you are still, current." Reba kept her composure, though her voice carried a hint of surprise. "Well, Kelly, I think my fans would disagree with that assessment. I have been making music for over 40 years, and I am grateful that people still connect with what I create." 40 years, Kelly repeated, letting the words hang in the air. "That's a long time, maybe too long for some people. I mean, do you ever think about stepping aside and letting the younger generation have their moment?" The audience shifted uncomfortably in their seats. This was not the friendly interview anyone had expected. Reba straightened in her chair, maintaining her dignity. "I think there is room for everyone in this industry, Kelly. It is not about age. It is about the music, the connection with the audience, and the heart you put into your work." Kelly laughed, but it was not a kind laugh. It was dismissive, almost cruel. "The heart you put into your work. That is sweet, really sweet. But let me be honest with you, Reba. And I think the audience wants honesty, right?" A few people in the audience clapped nervously, unsure of what was happening. Kelly continued, emboldened. "When I think about country music today, when I think about who is really making an impact, your name does not exactly come to mind. I mean, you had your time. You had your moments in the sun. But that was decades ago." Reba's jaw tightened. "Kelly, I have to say I am surprised by this line of questioning. I came here today as a friend, as someone who has always supported you." "Supported me?" Kelly interrupted, her voice rising. "You supported me when it benefited you. When you could say you discovered Kelly Clarkson. When you could attach yourself to my success." The audience gasped. This was crossing a line, and everyone knew it. Reba remained calm, though her eyes showed the hurt. "That's not fair, and that's not true. I supported you because I believed in your talent. I still do." Kelly waved her hand dismissively. "Please, everyone supported me. I won American Idol. I did not need you or anyone else to make me a star. I did that on my own." "I never said you did not," Reba replied quietly. "I was just proud to be part of your journey." Kelly let out an exaggerated sigh. "Proud to be part of my journey. Do you hear yourself right now? You sound like every other person from my past who tries to take credit for my success. Like you had some magical influence that made me who I am today. Reba shook her head slowly. I never took credit for your success, Kelly. I watched you work hard. I watched you earn everything you have. I just tried to offer guidance when you asked for it. When I asked for it, Kelly repeated mockingly. Right, because I was so desperate for your advice. Let me tell you something, Reba. Every piece of advice you ever gave me, I could have gotten from anyone. You were not special. You were just there. The audience was getting more uncomfortable by the second. People were shifting in their seats, whispering to each other, clearly disturbed by the direction this interview had taken. But Kelly seemed oblivious to their discomfort. Or worse, she simply did not care. Reba took a slow breath before responding. Kelly, I understand that you have achieved incredible things. I celebrate that. But I do not understand why you feel the need to diminish me or anyone else who cared about you. Kelly laughed that harsh laugh again. Diminish you? I am not diminishing you. I am just stating facts. The fact is, your time has passed. The fact is, country music has moved on without you. The fact is, when people think about country music legends who still matter, your name is not at the top of that list anymore. And whose name is at the top? Reba asked calmly. Yours? Kelly's eyes flashed. Why not? I have crossed over. I have conquered multiple genres. I have a talk show that millions of people watch every single day. What have you done lately that even comes close to that? Reba paused, letting the question hang in the air. I have stayed true to myself, Kelly. I have remained kind to people. I have built relationships that have lasted decades because they were based on mutual respect, not just what someone could do for me. Oh, please, Kelly scoffed. Spare me the holier-than-thou speech. You act like you are so perfect, so gracious, so wonderful, but I see right through it. You are just like everyone else in this industry. You want attention. You want relevance. You want people to remember you. Of course I want to be remembered, Reba said simply. But I want to be remembered for the right reasons. I want to be remembered for the music I made, the people I helped, the way I treated others. Not for tearing people down to make myself feel bigger. Kelly stood up suddenly, pacing the stage like she owned it, like she was the only person who mattered. Her heels clicked loudly against the floor with each aggressive step. You know what I think, Reba. I think you are jealous. I think you see what I have built. This show, my career, my relevance, and it bothers you that you do not have that anymore. It eats at you that I surpassed you. Reba stood up too, her voice still controlled, but firm. Kelly, I am not jealous of you. I am happy for your success. But I am disappointed in how you are treating me right now. This is not the person I thought you were. The person you thought I was, Kelly shot back. You mean the grateful little mentee who would sit at your feet and thank you for every crumb of wisdom you dropped. Sorry to disappoint you, but I outgrew that role a long time ago. Disappointed? Kelly scoffed. That is rich coming from someone who has not had a hit song in years. Tell me, Reba, when was the last time someone under 30 knew who you were without having to Google you? When was the last time a young person streamed one of your songs? Be honest. Reba's expression remained steady, but you could see the pain behind her eyes. Music is not just about streaming numbers or appealing to one demographic, Kelly. It is about connecting with people, creating something meaningful that lasts. Creating something meaningful that lasts? Kelly mocked, her voice dripping with sarcasm. That is what people say when they are not creating anything relevant right now. That is what people say when they are living in the past. I am not living in the past, Reba said firmly. I am proud of my past, yes, but I am also very much present. I tour regularly. I make new music. I connect with my fans every single day, Kelly rolled her eyes dramatically. Your fans. You mean the people who remember you from decades ago? The people who bought your cassette tapes and CDs? That is not a fan base, Reba. That's a nostalgia act. The audience gasped louder this time. Several people stood up, clearly upset by what they were hearing. One woman shouted, "This is wrong! Stop this!" But Kelly barely acknowledged them. She was too caught up in her own performance, her own need to dominate this conversation. Reba looked around at the audience, seeing their distress, their confusion. She looked back at Kelly with something that resembled pity. Kelly, what happened to you? What happened to the sweet, kind person I knew? Success changed you, and not for the better. Kelly's face turned red. Success did not change me. It revealed me. It showed me that I do not have to pretend to be humble or grateful to people who think they are better than me just because they have been around longer. Age does not equal wisdom, Reba, and longevity does not equal talent. I never said it did, Reba responded. But respect and kindness should not be conditional on someone's age or career status. You should treat people well because it is the right thing to do, not because of what they can offer you. Kelly crossed her arms defensively. I treat people well when they deserve it. And right now, sitting here listening to you act like you are some saint who never made a mistake, who never put her career first, who never did what she had to do to stay on top, it is insulting to me and to everyone watching. I never claimed to be perfect, Reba said quietly. I have made plenty of mistakes in my life and career, but I have always tried to learn from them. I have always tried to be better, to do better. And I have never, ever deliberately hurt someone just to make myself feel superior. Kelly laughed bitterly. Superior? You think that is what this is about? You think I am trying to feel superior to you? Reba, I do not need to try. I already am. I have the show. I have the ratings. I have the influence. What do you have? A career that peaked in the 90s? The audience was completely silent now. Some people looked angry. Others looked shocked. This had gone from an interview to an attack. Reba took a deep breath, clearly trying to keep her emotions in check. I think my legacy speaks for itself, Kelly. I do not need to defend my career or my relevance to you or anyone else. My work stands on its own merit. Your work, Kelly said, her voice getting louder. Your work is old. Your work is dated. Your work belongs in a museum, not on the radio. And deep down, you know that is true. That is why you are here, is it not? Because you need the exposure. You need my platform to remind people you still exist. Reba's eyes flashed, the first sign that Kelly's words were really getting to her. I don't need your platform, Kelly. I accepted your invitation because I thought it would be a nice reunion between two people who used to care about each other. Clearly, I was wrong about that. Care about each other, Kelly repeated, her voice mocking. We barely know each other, Reba. We worked together briefly years ago. You gave me some advice that I probably would have figured out on my own anyway. That does not make us family. That does not make us friends. That makes you someone from my past who I invited on my show out of politeness. The words hung in the air like poison. Reba stood perfectly still, absorbing what Kelly had just said. When she spoke again, her voice was softer, but somehow more powerful. If that is truly how you feel, then I am sorry. I am sorry I misunderstood our relationship. I am sorry I thought there was genuine affection and respect between us. But mostly, I am sorry for you, Kelly. Because treating people this way will only leave you lonely in the end. Kelly's jaw clenched. Do not psychoanalyze me. Do not stand there and act like you understand me or my life. You do not know anything about me. You are right, Reba agreed. I clearly do not know you anymore. The Kelly I thought I knew would never speak to someone like this. The Kelly I thought I knew had humility and grace. But that Kelly is gone, is she not? That Kelly grew up, Kelly snapped. That Kelly stopped letting people walk all over her. That Kelly stopped being nice just because it was expected. This is who I really am, Reba. Strong, confident, unapologetic. And if you cannot handle that, then maybe you are the problem, not me. Kelly walked closer to Reba, her voice dripping with condescension. Your legacy. Sure, you have a legacy. You were great once upon a time, but this is my show, my stage, my audience. And honestly, I do not think they came here to see someone from the past talk about the good old days. They came here to see me. Several audience members shouted in disagreement, but Kelly ignored them completely. She kept her focus on Reba, her eyes cold and determined. You know what your problem is, Reba. You think that because you have been around longer, you automatically deserve respect. But respect is earned every single day. Not just given because you had some hits 30 years ago. Reba's voice remained calm, though the hurt was evident. I have never expected automatic respect from anyone, Kelly. I try to earn it through my actions, through how I treat people, through the quality of my work. And I have always believed that how you treat people, especially those who cannot do anything for you, reveals your true character. Kelly laughed coldly. Oh, so now I have bad character? Is that what you were saying? Because I refuse to sit here and pretend you are still relevant? Because I have the courage to say what everyone else is thinking? No one else is thinking that, Reba said softly. That's just you, Kelly. That's your ego talking, your need to be the center of attention, your inability to share the spotlight with anyone, even for a few minutes. Kelly's eyes narrowed dangerously. My ego? My ego? That is hilarious coming from someone who has made an entire career out of being the queen of country music. You have been dining out on that title for decades. Well, guess what? There are new queens now. Younger queens. More talented queens. And you are just someone who used to sit on that throne. Reba shook her head slowly. I have never called myself the queen of country music, Kelly. Other people have given me that title over the years, and I am honored by it. But I have never demanded it or expected it. Unlike some people, I do not need titles or validation to know my worth. Right, Kelly said sarcastically. You are so humble, so gracious, so perfect. Well, let me tell you something, Reba. That humble act might work on other people, but I see right through it. You want to be worshipped just like everyone else in this industry. The difference is, I am honest about it. There is a difference between wanting respect and demanding worship, Reba replied. There is a difference between confidence and cruelty. And what you are doing right now, Kelly, this is cruelty. Pure and simple. Kelly's face flushed darker. Cruelty? You want to talk about cruelty? How about the cruelty of people like you, hanging on to careers that should have ended years ago? How about the cruelty of taking opportunities away from younger artists who actually have something fresh and new to offer? How about that kind of cruelty? Reba's expression hardened. I have never taken opportunities away from anyone, Kelly. The music industry is not a zero-sum game. There is room for everyone. There is room for legends and newcomers. There is room for different styles and different generations. The only person trying to push someone else out right now is you. Reba looked at Kelly for a long moment, and you could see the realization crossing her face. This was not about music or careers or relevance. This was about ego. Kelly's ego had grown so large that she could not stand sharing the spotlight, even for a moment, even with someone who had paved the way for her. You know what, Kelly, Reba said softly. I remember when you were just starting out. You were kind, humble, grateful for every opportunity. I do not know what happened to that person, but I miss her. Kelly's face flushed red. That person grew up. That person realized she did not need to bow down to every country music legend who thought they were doing her a favor. I made myself into who I am today. Yes, you did, Reba agreed, and you should be proud of that. But success does not mean you have to tear other people down. Success does not mean you have to disrespect the people who came before you. Kelly laughed again, that same harsh, cutting laugh. Disrespect? I am just being honest. Maybe if someone had been honest with you years ago, you would have known when to retire gracefully instead of hanging on like you still matter. That was the moment. That was the line that could not be uncrossed. Reba's expression changed from hurt to something else entirely. Resolve, dignity, strength. She looked at Kelly with the quiet power of someone who had nothing left to prove. I think we are done here, Reba said simply. Kelly smirked. Oh, are we? Are you walking out? Is that what you are going to do? Yes, Reba replied, because I will not stand here and let you insult me on your stage. I will not give you the satisfaction of seeing me upset or angry. I have more respect for myself than that. Kelly's smirk widened. Then leave. Nobody is stopping you. In fact, I think it is time for you to leave anyway. This is my show, and I decide who stays and who goes. And I am telling you right now, Reba, you need to go. The audience erupted. Some people started booing. Others started shouting. The producers in the back were frantically signaling, trying to figure out what to do. But Reba just stood there, calm and collected, even in the face of such humiliation. You are kicking me off your show? Reba asked, just to be clear. Yes, Kelly said loudly, making sure everyone could hear. I am kicking you off my show because I do not need you here. I do not need your outdated stories or your nostalgia act. This show is about the future, not the past. Reba nodded slowly. Okay, then I will leave. But before I go, I want to say something to you, Kelly. I hope one day you realize that treating people with kindness and respect is more important than ratings or relevance or proving how successful you are. I hope you realize that before you burn every bridge you have. Kelly crossed her arms. Are you done? Yes, Reba said. I am done. And with that, Reba McEntire turned and walked off the stage. The audience was in chaos. Some people were standing and applauding Reba as she left, showing their support for the legend who had just been publicly humiliated. Others were shouting at Kelly, expressing their disgust at what they had just witnessed. But Kelly just stood there, Nikki, watching Reba go, her face a mixture of defiance and something else. Maybe regret, maybe shame, but she was too proud to show it. As Reba walked through the backstage area, crew members approached her, apologizing, telling her they could not believe what had just happened. But Reba just smiled at them, thanked them for their kindness, and kept walking. She did not storm out in anger. She did not cry or break down. She left with the same grace and dignity she had when she arrived. Because that was who Reba McEntire was. A professional, a legend, a woman who knew her worth, even when others tried to diminish it. Back on the stage, Kelly tried to continue the show, but the energy had shifted completely. The audience was no longer on her side. They had seen something ugly, something that revealed a side of Kelly Clarkson that made them uncomfortable. She tried to make a joke, tried to move past it, but the damage was done. Well, and that was unexpected, Kelly said with a forced laugh. But you know what? Sometimes you have to be real. Sometimes you have to say what everyone else is thinking. But the audience was not buying it. A woman in the front row stood up and shouted, "You were wrong. Reba did not deserve that." Others joined in, voicing their agreement. Kelly's smile faded. This was her show, her audience, but she was losing them. She was losing them because they had just watched her disrespect someone they loved, someone who had earned their respect through decades of hard work and genuine connection. Kelly tried to regain control. Okay, everyone calm down. Let us take a commercial break, and when we come back, we have got a great musical performance lined up. But as the cameras cut away, the audience continued to murmur and complain. Some people got up and walked out, Watts refusing to stay for the rest of the taping. The producers rushed onto the stage, talking urgently with Kelly, trying to do damage control. But what could they do? The interview had been filmed. People had seen it. Word would spread quickly about what had happened. Meanwhile, Reba was in her dressing room, gathering her things. Her manager was on the phone, already fielding calls from reporters who had somehow gotten wind of the incident. But Reba remained calm. She looked at herself in the mirror, fixed her hair, and took a deep breath. She had been in this industry long enough to know that moments like this revealed character, and her character would not be defined by how Kelly had treated her, but by how she responded to it. A knock came at the door. It was one of the show's producers, a young woman who looked mortified. "Miss McEntire, I am so sorry about what happened out there. That was completely unprofessional and unacceptable." Reba smiled at her. "Thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate that." "Is there anything we can do?" the producer asked desperately. Reba shook her head. "No, I think everything that needed to be said was said. I am just going to head home now." "We understand if you want to make a statement, or if you want us to cut certain parts of the interview," the producer offered. But Reba declined. "No. Let people see what happened, and let them make up their own minds. I do not need to control the narrative. The truth speaks for itself." And with that, Reba left the studio. She walked out the back exit where her car was waiting. As she got in and the driver pulled away, she looked back at the building one last time. She thought about Kelly, about the young, sweet girl she had once known, and wondered how she had become someone so different, someone so unkind. But Reba did not dwell on it for long. She had been in the music industry for over 4 decades. She had faced criticism, rejection, heartbreak, and loss. She had survived and thrived through it all. And she would survive this too. Because legends are not made by how they are treated. They are made by how they treat others, by the grace they show in difficult moments, by the integrity they maintain when it would be easier to lash out. As the car drove through the city, Reba pulled out her phone. Messages were already flooding in from friends, fellow artists, and fans who had heard about the incident. All of them expressed their support, their outrage at how she had been treated, their love and respect for her. Reba read through them, feeling grateful for the people in her life who truly valued her, not for what she could do for them, but for who she was as a person. Back at the studio, the rest of the show taping was a disaster. Kelly tried to act like everything was normal, but the audience was not having it. The energy was tense and uncomfortable. The musical guest performed, but even that felt hollow after what had happened. When the taping finally ended, Kelly retreated to her dressing room. Alone in her dressing room, Kelly sat in front of her mirror. For a brief moment, something like regret flickered across her face, but she pushed it down, replaced it with justification. She had worked hard for this show. She deserved to be confident. The story of what happened in that studio spread like wildfire. Within hours, clips of the interview were circulating online. People were talking about it everywhere, and the overwhelming response was clear. People were on Reba's side. They saw her grace under pressure, and they saw Kelly's behavior for what it was, entitled and cruel. The contrast between the two women could not have been starker. Reba, the seasoned professional who had spent decades earning her place, and Kelly, and the younger star who had let success change her. The incident became a defining moment. For Reba, it was another example of her grace and professionalism. For Kelly, it was a moment that revealed something beneath the polished surface. The 49 seconds that started it all, that initial comment questioning Reba's relevance, had set off a chain reaction that no one could have predicted. It showed that words matter, that how we treat people matters. Reba McEntire did not need Kelly Clarkson's show to prove her worth. She had already proven it through decades of work and genuine connections with millions of fans. She was a legend, not because of what she had achieved, but because of who she was as a person. And as she sat in her home that evening, Reba felt at peace. She had handled the situation with dignity. She had not stooped to Kelly's level. She had walked away when she needed to. The lesson from that day was clear. You can have all the success in the world, but if you treat people poorly, you lose respect. You lose integrity. You lose the very thing that makes success meaningful. Reba McEntire knew that. She had always known that. And that day in the studio, she proved it once again. Not by fighting back, but by simply walking away with her head held high.